Sure.
I didn't tell you, but years ago I actually was a banker. When I first got out of college, and I was in.
If I'd known that, I wouldn't be talking to you.
I was working in a bank. I did everything from commercial loans to being a security analyst and trust manager. So I really went into it just because I wanted to know how money worked, because I could see as a child that obviously money's running so much of what's going on in our world. So, it's that old song from Cabaret, money makes the world go round. But, it's interesting, in all my studies and all my experiences with money, I realized that money is nothing more than blood. And we have confused our medium of exchange. We have made it so convoluted and so bastardized from its pure form. Because if you go back, money they used to trade beads. Someone had a chicken, somebody made pies, I want a chicken, can I have a pie? They did barter, and then they said, let's get an exchange medium in here, and they have beads. I'll give you 3 beads for the chicken,
Right.
And then they moved on to gold coins because it was supposedly rare. Well, it's interesting to me. This is the growth and evolution of consciousness represented in the bloodline of our civilization. And Wall Street, people don't understand, but Wall Street was created by people who were hawkers standing on the corner of Wall, I think, in church.
Right.
Waving pieces of paper, selling, shares to gold mines out west, some which existed and some that didn't.
Right.
And that the entire global economic system is based on this is just, it's an indication that it's time to move forward and evolve.
Well, look, idolatry is not worshiping some little statue, right? Idolatry is giving anything besides God supreme significance. Right? It's putting something in front of God is idolatry. And when you put success, which is measured in our culture by how much money do you have, people who, if I made a $20 million bonus one year, I don't know that I would try to get a $50 million the next one. I think I would take that $20 million and do it and sit and write a lot of books and share it with friends and
Yeah, it's obviously not a thing about needing food and shelter.
No.
It's way beyond this.
No, it's about validation. It's really about validation. I think. And again, I think it's probably different for everybody. But I can only go by myself, and when I feel that urge to say it's not enough, what I have isn't enough, I need more, I need more, I need more, that urge to want to have more stems from a place of obvious lack. Obviously, because you think you need more because you have a sense of lack. That sense of lack would have to come from a place of saying of inadequacy, that I'm not good enough as I am. And in order to feel good enough as I am, I need to have more stuff around me, and that the stuff validates my worth.
Well, it's an old psychological principle that people are looking for 2 things. They want to be understood, and they want to be loved unconditionally. And it seems to me what you hit the nail on the head. It's the validation is a form of getting understanding and love.
Yeah.
In a form that's probably not really going to be satisfying, but if you trace it back to what I just said earlier, that money is a form of exchange. That's its purpose. Its purpose is to exchange value and services. That's the purpose of money. Then having lots of it means, well, I can get all kinds of love, services, and things from people, and it'll tell me that I'm okay.
Yeah, it's validation. It's also a substitute. It's also a substitute because, and to give people the benefit, to give people credit, because I think as we said earlier, whenever I meet people who say, what the problem with people is, right? The problem with people is they're greedy. The problem with people is they're selfish. The problem with people is blah blah blah. It's always something negative. Nobody says the problem with people is they're good. You excuse yourself. I always tell people, well, does that mean, are you the one exception? Or are you one of these greedy people too? What does that statement really mean when you say that? So people are, according to Judaism, people are born neutral.
Yeah.
And people have choices, and you make choices throughout your life, and those choices define your surface. But that below the surface is a purity that can't be touched by anything that you do. Right? It can't be ever changed. That it's pure, and you can always return to it. The Buddhists call it a diamond. That you could put dirt on top of a diamond, but none of that dirt ever affects that diamond.
Mm-hmm.
And that diamond is always available for you to reconnect to at any moment. And so in Judaism, repentance is called return. It's called tshuva, which means return. You return to that pure state, and then you start making different kind of choices. I forgot where exactly I was going with it.
Well, we were talking about, it all came down to money, and we're talking about Wall Street.
Right.
And there's a drama going on as we speak in our country, a major drama about money and Wall Street and what it represents. And there's all kinds of disconnections going on. The big one that the media has been parlaying is the one of the disconnection with ethics and the average person. Like Wall Street's a disconnection. Like Wall Street needs to learn to listen to Main Street. And I'm thinking to myself, why are they dividing it up? Wall Street is one of the main streets. It's like, what is really behind that? I mean, I always say there's a storyline or a question behind the storyline. And I like to reduce it down to its essence. And that's probably why I asked this question, because I'm interested in what you might say, because you're in the midst of New York, which I lived there for many years too myself, actually. Mm-hmm. And I know what the energy field is in New York. It's very, very powerful. There's a lot of things going on there, major museums, major financial institutions. So what happens there happens everywhere. And it's like a microcosm. And you're speaking to business people. They're dealing with money. Money makes the world go round. They're surviving. What do you think is what's the byline? What's the underlying storyline behind this transformation that's being foisted upon Wall Street, whether they like it or not?
Well, it's inevitable. I mean, I think it's built into the system, and I think. As painful, and it's easy for me to say this. I have a job. I'm doing fine. I know a lot of people, innocent people, who have lost their jobs, who are suffering for nothing that they've done. And I'm not about to go to them and say, what we're going through is a necessary correction, and we're going to come out of this a better species because of it, because that person needs a job at that moment. And and you can't say that to a person who's suffering. But my perspective on it. Is that this is a necessary, positive, crucial change that we're going through, and I really pray that we learn the lesson of it and we come out the other side transformed in a way that we don't go back to again. We may backslide a little bit, but hopefully we're not going to backslide this far. And that people are talking about, a quote-unquote return to basics, and that's lovely. That's lovely. I know people that own 3 or 4 houses. I had lunch with a guy recently who if I say too much, people will know who it is. But I had lunch with a guy recently, and he talking about his cars. I said, "How many cars do you have?" And he started to count, and he says, "I'm not sure." And if you get to the point where you're not sure how many cars you have too many cars. I mean, I can answer that question pretty quickly. I have one, that my wife and I share.
I just answer. What do you think? What about the ones that actually work?
Does one on the block count?
Are you?